already know what it is. It's another episode. You don't have to be perfect, baby.
Gotta be perfect, you just get started. Don't overthink it. Just your hardest on your dreams and your goals. Let your goals shape how you live. Success is give up your old self to become someone new, to be the true you. Never be afraid to do you in front of sideline judges, non-believers. People holding their grudges, appreciate the hate. It comes with the winning. When you watch big enough money,
ready?
it's unstoppable from the beginning.
A little Motivation Monday.
Let your actions part of the
Summer
solution.
recap.
Watch the income it produces. Recognize greatness.
Thought
Supreme
process.
revelation. Here's a blood,
Thought
sweat, and
me
tears
and
to
you.
become an old life sensation. Can't do it alone.
We need to have a conversation.
Teamwork always makes the dream work. Teamwork always makes the dream work.
Good evening. It's another episode of You Don't Have to Be Perfect. And I'm your host, Paz Simpson. Today is the first day of school in Allentown School District. I currently happen to live in Allentown, and it's a big day for me because my baby is now a senior. I'm in her traditional colors for her school today, so if you know what these colors mean, then I'm not going to tell you what school she goes to. But yes, a little Motivation Monday. The summertime, as far as summer vacation for our children, are over. Even though we're not officially in the fall, how we see and move around has changed today. In some states, you have already been back to school. But in the state that we're in, we're just getting back to school. So what we want to talk about on this Monday is a little Monday motivation, right? Really being able to turn thoughts into things. Thoughts into things. Too many of us get caught up in whatever it is that we did wrong in the past. We had a very eventful summer with Big Happy Consultants. I want to thank all of our partners that participated this summer as we ventured into doing a lot more and creating history in many spaces. I want to give a big shout out to our partners, Deb, Red Fly, for what we were able to do with Hip Hop on the Wall. Hop on the Wall was a 3-week exhibit that we did here in our city. It was historical. So if you didn't get t-shirt or one of the art books, make sure you go back, and still hit us up. You can still go to LehighValleyHipHop.com and get those. But it was history. Why was it history? It was the first art book with both, or all three, I should say, lyrics, artwork, and a full sound. I want to thank, McFly, Take Flight, Coke Boys for putting the music together. It's Red McFly's soundtrack. I want to thank, Red and his family for working with us, right, to put an idea into action, right? I want us to think about, especially going into this fall, coming into the third quarter of the year. We got 2 more big quarters of the year, right? So we're going into the third quarter of the year. Are you dreaming big, or are you just fantasizing? And there's a difference, right? Are you dreaming big? Right? We all want to dream big, right? You want to dream a big that's, You want to dream a dream that's so big, I should say, that it scares you. A dream that's so big that you have to grow into the person that you need to be in order to live out that dream. Or are you just fantasizing? Fantasy means we sit back and we have a great dream, but we never do anything about it, right? Greg Reed says a dream becomes a goal when you put a date on it, right? Add a date to that dream, right? And we don't have to, when your dream is so big that it scares you, you don't have to bite it all at one time, right? You can knock it down with small bites, small pieces at a time, right? We put together an enormous sum of events, ending off with a back to school event with the district attorney's office in the school district. I want to thank them too for being partners for us during this summer. I want to really thank CADCA and CALV for always being partners throughout almost everything that we're doing for the youth. But getting back to dream versus fantasy, because we want more people to be able to have big dreams, right? Because big dreams change the world, right? We are now in the world of AI, artificial intelligence. So if you are like myself and you are over 40, then you remember a cartoon called The Jetsons, right? A cartoon called The Jetsons, right? So if you remember the Jetsons, they were on screens like this, having communication, which we thought would be impossible, right? If you remember the movie The Terminator, we're now in a time where we are closer to robots doing things that we didn't even think were possible. So dreaming big will allow you not only to be innovative, right? But no matter how you identify with God, whether you call God Jesus, God Allah, whether you whether you go through uh, Confucius, Hindu, no matter what way you control your belief in connection to the universe, what we all know is that there's a universal creator. And when we create, we get to tap in to just a little piece of that creator. By dreaming big, we have the opportunity to create something anew, doing something that is uniquely you, even if there's someone who has a dream similar, right? Think about it. I have a friend who is my content creator. She does a lot of pictures and stuff for us behind the scenes, make sure my collar's straight, because if you pay attention to me, I get up and go. I'm not always going to pay attention. I know that the words that I say make sense, and I know I'm going to action behind those words. So sometimes I need somebody to make sure that I'm paying attention to the things that I'm not paying attention to. But I mention her, right, because she also likes to do things with makeup, right? So if you have ever put on some kind of makeup, you know that there are all types of different makeup lines. L'Oreal, Maybelline, those are just the ones I remember on commercials, right? I'm a man, so I don't buy makeup. But just using makeup as an example, right? That people can have similar dreams, but it will not be just like yours, right? You get to put your unique stamp on it. There is your tribe of people, your set of people that are just waiting for you to step into your greatness, that is just waiting for you to turn your dream into a goal and that goal into your reality. Let me say it for you again. There's a tribe of people that are waiting for you to turn your dream into a goal and that goal into your reality. It doesn't matter what your past was. That's why this show is called You Don't Have to Be Perfect. If you show me a perfect person, I can show you a liar, right? Because no one is perfect, but we were born perfect, whole, and complete. What does that mean? You are born perfect, whole, and complete. That means that who you are is always more than enough. My mother used to say to me best, son, if you were in the room, you were born to be in that room, right? I don't have to compete with anyone in the room. You hear people say our personal manifesto every week, right? And in that manifesto, one of the things you hear me say is some people may not like me, but I don't care, right? Because I want everyone to have that freedom to know there are going to be people, no matter where you go, no matter how good you are. There were people that didn't like Gandhi. There were people that didn't like Martin Luther King. There were people, right, that crucified Jesus. So there's always going to be someone that doesn't like you, but you cannot allow how someone feels about you to change how you feel about yourself. Right? You are wonderful. You are special. You are the best. You are the best you in the world. There's no one that can ever be better at being you than you. So why let anyone shake your confidence? You know, you've seen the quote in my book, the Big 365, right? Be so sure of self that anyone can lift your spirits, but no one can shake your confidence. Right? Be so sure of your dream that even if you're sleeping in the streets, you know that you're a billionaire. What? Let me say it for again. Right? Be so sure of your dream that even if you're sleeping in the streets, you can feel like you're a billionaire. A good friend of mine, Scott Duffy, talked about how he was at his last when he hit his first, right? You've heard people like Sylvester Stallone, who were homeless, had to sell his dog, but wouldn't sell his script, right? If it meant selling a piece of himself because he was going to be Rocky, right? We all have something within us that makes us special, right? Not every engineer, but you can happily be you. You can bring joy into every space and place, in every situation, because you're comfortable in your skin, even though it may be uncomfortable where you are. By being comfortable, being uncomfortable. One of the greatest things that I can say that happened to me early in life was I went to a prep school. I went to a prep school with some of the wealthiest kids in America at that time, while my parents were still struggling. So the dichotomy of the worlds that I lived in was amazing. It continued as I went into university when someone asked me one time, what are you doing for spring break? And because we don't really see with our eyes, and I'll go back to that quote fully in a moment. Someone asked me, what I was going to do on spring break. My oldest son was already born. So I told them how I was living. I said, I'm going back to UCLA. Like, UCLA, you going to California? Oh man, they were super excited. I said, no, I'm going to University of the corner of Lexington Avenue. I got to hustle up these packs so I can make sure that me and my son's mom can afford to be here next semester. The reality of how we were living versus what we were going through. Living at a prestigious prep school, and I lived on campus while in high school, and then would have to go home or go to different neighborhoods during the breaks, summer times, and everything else. But living in this prestigious high school, what it taught us was how to swim with the whales, right? While having to, travel amongst the crabs, right? In every situation, we get to choose where we're going to be in this sea. We can swim with the whales or we could travel with the crabs. Crabs are like crabs in a barrel. They just want to you down. And you know who they are and you know how it feels. They're the ones that want to gossip. They're the ones that spend so much time talking about other people. They break it down like this. They say, losers talk about people. Winners talk about ideas. True winners execute on the ideas that they talk about. Right? If you spend time and waste time, right? Because time is the only commodity that we can't get more of. You can make more money. You can get more friends. You can buy new houses. You can get new clothes. But you can't buy more time. The wealthiest people in the world have not found a way to buy time. Because if they could, none of them would die. You can't determine when your time is up. So the best thing for you to do is to always make the most of your time. A great man said, Mr. King was his name actually, said today is the first day of the rest of your life. No matter how bad yesterday was or how good it could have been, today is the first day of the rest of your life. You cannot recreate any yesterdays, but you can make sure that you are putting yourself in a position to create the types of tomorrows that you want. Are you dreaming to have goals or fantasizing to have woes? Ooh, let me say it for you again, because somebody needs to hear you. Are you dreaming to have goals or fantasizing to have woes? And there's a big difference when you don't execute, right? And I'm going to give you the happiness formula. The happiness formula is simple: thoughts plus feelings plus actions equal happiness. Happiness only surface deep. I call myself the happiness engineer because I can only help you go surface deep. Joy is eternal, and that's eternal. So that means there's going to have to be some work that you're going to have to do on the inside so that you can find your internal joy, right? Your true purpose in life. We all have a calling, a mission, a ministry, however you want to call it, right? We all have a reason that we're here. If you didn't have a purpose, you wouldn't be here, right? Some people's purpose in life might have been to inspire you to be greater and do greater. I look back as I think about my sisters. I lost both of my sisters before their 36th birthday. Neither one of those beautiful young women ever got to see 36. One with a heart attack, another through cancer. The inspiration that they left behind for the lives that they touched. I couldn't measure. We all want to question sometimes why someone may have been taken from us early. You know, as I was young, I definitely had that question in losing my sister early. But I thought about all the lives that she touched, especially my older sister, who there was a statue even built in her honor, Rikers Island, because she passed away as a correction officer on island, living out her dream. So when I came to terms with it, right? Because like I said, we all have a purpose. Not everybody has to be an entrepreneur, even though I encourage entrepreneurship for everyone, right? Um, what I do say, because you may enjoy having a job, never put down someone who has a job, first of all. But you may enjoy your job. Your job may be your purpose. But make sure that you don't just work for money, but your money also works for you. So any money that you get, figure out how you can invest, how you can diversify your income so that if for any reason that job was to disappear, your lifestyle doesn't have to dissipate. So if that job would disappear, you don't have to panic, right? Because especially those of us over 40, I don't know what X, Y, Z, I don't know. I think we're Gen Xers. Um, we were taught what our parents taught us, right? To uh, go to school, work for 40 years in one company, work 40 hours a day for 40 years, right? And you get a good pension, you know. But the lifespans of companies aren't 40 years anymore. You know, if you don't believe me, um, how many of us remember Blockbuster Video, right? If you were a Blockbuster Video fan, you would never think that Blockbuster Video wouldn't still be here today. But not being able to adjust to the times, put how many people to work, right? There was some amazing manager, someone who dedicated his whole life and his lifestyle to become the best Blockbuster manager, probably not just in his city, maybe in his state, maybe in the whole United States, but because of a decision that someone else made, that dream disappeared, right? You always want to make sure that your dream, right, is independent of someone else's person making that happen, right? We want to be able to collaborate. We don't want to be able to be controlled. Let me repeat that for you. We want our dreams to be in the space and the place where we are in control of our own dream so that we can collaborate with others so that someone else not impede upon our dream. Especially in today's society, we have to be even more creative. We have to dream even bigger. because the jobs that many of us grew up on are being replaced. They're being eliminated because there's an artificial intelligence, there is a computer program, there is someone or something that can do it faster, possibly more efficiently, when it doesn't need human interaction or contact. What's going to be the new capital in this next phase of life is going to be emotional intelligence, right? Can you connect with people? Because people are going to have more and more choices of why and how not to be a consumer for you. You think about it, many of us would have never thought that there would be major competitors to the major TV stations, right? There were Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS, at one time, UPN and WB. But we'll use the ones that we knew were going to last, right? ABC, NBC, CBS. Our children, especially if you have children uh, in high school or below, don't even haven't probably even watched the TV show on regular TV because of apps and different ways for them to be able to bring in content, right? Because you know, let's laugh at us. I'm willing to say I am old enough to have had a black and white TV, but young enough to still on my hat in the back sometimes. Right? I am old enough to have had a black and white TV. Right? So we remember those days where content was only on in a limited way. So by dreaming big, you can find so many other ways to connect. But are you dreaming big or are you just fantasizing? See, fantasizing will make you depressed because fantasizing comes with a whole bunch of doubts. See, we have a choice when we have belief. Belief has two sides, faith and doubt, but they can't live in the same house at the same time. So you can choose to be faithful, grateful, hopeful, and know that everything is going to work out, even those times when you stumble. Or you can choose to be doubtful, pitiful, miserable, and you'll also attract other crabs in the barrel to help you go lower, right? Just like you can attract other whales that will help you soar, you can attract other crabs that will help you start to go lower. You have to pay attention to who's in your circle and why. And by paying attention to who's in your circle and why, the first thing you should ask is, what do you add to the circle, right? Do we add a smile? Do we add positivity? Do we add hope? Do we add experience? Do we add a willingness? Because you don't always have to be the smartest person at the table. Actually, I never want to be the smartest person at the table. And I know that I am been blessed to be smarter than many according to book smart standards, right? We got to laugh because of the studies that my father did, and my mother was a child prodigy that we don't talk about, so book smart standards. Just because someone can uh, read and comprehend doesn't always mean that they can also comprehend life. There are many people who are book smart, and that's amazing, and we need them all. That's why I say we all have a part to play. You know, you may be socially awkward, and that's okay if you find people that love your socially awkward self, right? There are going to be people that will protect. You will have a tribe, right? If we are willing to dream big, and dream big means whatever your dream may be, so that you can be comfortable in your skin, right? I don't have to wear a button up every day. Most times, when I go into a business meeting, I'm going to have on a t shirt. I'm going to have on a t shirt that's motivational, or I'm going to have on a t shirt that is from someone that I know and or love. Usually my daughters, you know, because my daughter has a clothing line. Why not? Right? I'll have on a t shirt, still have on a hat. Always I'm daddy first before anything else. Right? So if I can represent her in spaces and places to encourage people to support her entrepreneurship, especially before she turns 18, why wouldn't I? You know, we got to talk to an amazing young entrepreneur, and I hope you watch last week's show because Jada is amazing, and that 16-year-old young woman is doing some amazing things. So big shout out to Jada and her mom, Victoria, you know. But why wouldn't I, you know, do things to support her dream, right? So when we are able to dream big, and dreaming big means to find whatever it is that allows you to feel like you, right? If you are a porta potty cleaner, and I have an auntie, you know, support her business, go find Dot, you know, who takes pride in cleaning porta potties. She's like, I don't, nobody clean porta potties like I clean porta potties. And I'm like, Auntie, I don't even know how you do it. You know, that's not for me. That's not my dream. She wants to contract, you know, one day to be the biggest porta potty cleaner company in the country. And that's dope. That's amazing, right? We need someone who wants to do that. So if that's your type of dream and that fulfills you, don't let someone tell you that that's not the dream that you should live out, because if it fulfills you, then it's for you. Let me say it for you again, because that's what we're here for. You don't have to be perfect. It don't matter how you get started. But if it fulfills you, it's for you. You know, it doesn't matter what your level of education is, right? You can be a PhD and realize tomorrow that you should be a farmer, because farming, putting your hands in the soil, tilling, doing and creating life so that you can see makes you happy, right? We need more of us to do what makes us happy, right? You've heard me say it before, right? Hire people who have fun where you work at, right? So if you hired my Aunt Dot to clean your porta potties, she's gonna enjoy cleaning those porta potties. Her and her team probably sing a song. They'll probably do a dance. If you hired me to clean your porta potty, I would be miserable. I would be probably kicking it over. I would be cussing you out. I would talk badly about your family, right? Because that's not for me, right? So you have to know, right? But I applaud as you hear me telling you about Dot's dream, because I don't think that it's a bad dream to have because we all need to have one. It's just not the dream for me. I have a sister, like I said, who does all my content. If I had to do content as much as she does, I would go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. My head would spin and all kinds of other things would go wrong. I mean, I think, things would grow out of my hat. I don't know what would go wrong. When she does the spirit fingers, I love her for it, but I'm like, one more spirit finger, I might break my own, right? But I'm proud of her because someone needs to do spirit fingers, right? Someone needs to understand this content thing better than I do because that's not what I do. What I do, for those who may not know, I write a couple books. We got a new book getting ready to come out, Curing Racism. Shout out to my co-author, Paul Hoyt. So we got a new book. Possibly, we're looking at possibly a October release date. Well, I'll let y'all know closer to, possibly next week. Looking at, got our first treatment in. So I write a couple books. You can look me up, Paz Simpson, Happiness Engineer, right? I do a couple keynote speeches, right? I'm pretty good on stage. You can hire me and I can make your whole crowd smile, right? We do some consulting, right? So we allow ourselves to work with businesses, nonprofits, also with small government agencies, and we increase productivity, teach gratitude. We have a bunch of different programs. We have a team, full consulting team. So we do everything from the rooter to the tutor, from actually helping you get your LLC started to developing your website to helping you build your business credit to actually helping you get funding. We've been blessed to build an amazing group of consultants. That's why it's not named Paz the Consultant, right? It's Big Happy Consultants. Amongst us all, we have well over 200 years of experience in our expertise. I am not the expert in anything. I'm the face that smiles when you meet you. I'm the person that you'll call if for any reason you have an issue. But I always have someone that's smarter than me in the room, right? I always have an expert that can do better. Like I can web design for you, but I will not web design for you. I don't enjoy it. Um, my brothers from another mother, Mike and Paul, started a web hosting company called HBA, Home Business Academy, which hosts all of our websites, our funnels, our membership sites, and all of our client sites as well. Um, when I first, they have a whole affiliate program. So Paul and Mike are my brothers. And I say that no matter what color they are, because we went on this journey together. Actually, I became the happiness engineer on their daily call, which I host on Fridays. So you can tile in on Fridays. I'm their Friday host for the next couple months. But before they started this business, I would tell them that I believe in them enough to do something different, and this is what they came up with, which has been an amazing blessing to us and so many others. But when I first joined the HBA business, I didn't do anything with it. I was just paying my monthly subscription as my paying it forward for me, for them helping me along the way. I didn't realize all of the benefits of HBA, how I can host an unlimited amount of websites through my $25 a month membership, so I can host not just my sites, but all our client sites. That there's an affiliate program where I can, get 80% commission on all my referrals. So outside of hosting on my client sites, um, we also get affiliate pay, which helped out enormously when my ex-wife was in a coma last year, residual income, having people paying those little monthly fees add up, right? People think $25 don't add up, or you can get the bigger program. I which comes with some amazing stuff too, but HBA. But when I first was in it, I paid for it every month, and this is why you also need to have good people in your corner. So it would come out of my bank account every month, and I never paid attention, because that wasn't a business that I was building. It was something that I was dedicated to. And Paul, the one of the founder of HBA, called me and he said, "I'm about to cancel your membership." And I said, "You're gonna cancel my membership? Why are you gonna cancel my membership?" He said, "Because you're giving me." At that time, I still give the $125 a month because there's a premium program where you can get all kinds of marketing help and stuff. But he's like, "You're giving me $105 a month, and you haven't done anything with this business. You haven't even built a website." And tell them, "I haven't built a website since HTML. I want to build another website like I want to build a hole in my head. Not gonna do it." But having great people, good, and a great team. My business partner on the other side said, "Bro, you mean to tell me we had this the whole time? I've been doing this through GoDaddy and this over here." It's like, "And we had a whole way that we can make this easier. I'll design all of the websites." Awesome. Now we have a web design team because he designs the websites, and started adding on more people who like to design websites, something I did not want to do. I like to talk to you. I like to do interviews. I like, I realized the little brother, Mark Woods from Mark Goods, um, let me know I'm also an event planner. I don't see myself as an event planner, you know, but we do so many events. Like if you saw our summer recap, Big Happy did a lot of events. We do events, um, a lot of events for the youth, of course, but a lot of events to help engage small businesses, medium-sized businesses to be able to meet clients, customers, to be able to be in a space to sell themselves, their services, their products, to be able to grow and create opportunity. One of the things you'll always hear me say that poverty is violence. One of the reasons why 99% of the programs in the inner cities fail is because they're always attacking the symptoms: gang violence, gun violence, blah, 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 instead of attacking the root cause, which is poverty. Poverty is violence, and how do you deal with violence? How do you combat violence and poverty? Opportunity. Opportunity is the perfect combatant to violence. Opportunity opens eyes, creates new dreamers, allows people to collaborate. So we do a lot of events at Big Happy um, through LehighValleyHipHop.com, which is because we do a lot of events locally. We do partner with events across the country, but locally we focus on events to be able to empower our community. And then, of course, We are always looking for new ways to bring capital to our communities. So we are super excited for some of the things that are coming online in the next few weeks and months that will allow us to be an even greater asset, not just to our local community, but to communities across the country. Um, Great thing about Big Happy Consultants is that most of our partners are not in the Lehigh Valley. My uh, web design company is located in another state. Our team of lenders, our main team of lenders, are located on the West Coast. Um, our graphic designers are located in another state. These are all um, people who, shoot, Paul, my co-author and biggest confidant in building out curing racism and what we see as a real necessity for a happier world, right? So one of the things that we've learned is that this world cannot run at its best because it's always trying to hold down a particular culture. I can't say race because there's only one race, God's human divine race. Whether you're black, white, orange, no matter what your skin color may be, whether you speak English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, none of those things make you less human, right? We're all human. What we what we suffer from is not racism, even though that is a title that we give it. But we really suffer from tribalism, right? We as humans, especially in our early years, prior to cities and civilizations, how we see them. We were hunters and gatherers because all of the other animals were bigger than us, faster than us, some of them even smarter than us at that time. We had to work in groups, we had to work in tribes in order to hunt and gather, to catch and to live in order to survive. So we created a tribe like mentality. But even if you go into different cultures, whether you're black, white, Spanish, you'll find that there are different tribes within those tribes. You know, you'll find, we're not just going to talk gangs, since a lot of people know I work to help deal with gang violence. We're not just talking about in the black community. We have Bloods, Crips. Those are two separate tribes. So we're always finding ways to divide ourselves instead of finding ways to unite ourselves, right? Because through unity comes power. You know, um, we found ways to create the greatest ways and technologies, but we haven't found ways to really work together. Someone didn't hear. We found the ways, right, to create some of the greatest technologies, but we haven't mastered the ways to work together. So most of that comes from insecurities because too many of us live in our fantasies instead of striving for our dreams, right? A fantasy is, you know, and I want to thank um my first basketball coach, Leon Baxter, right? And me and him, we laugh about this still now because he's still married to his wife with everyone's first crush in Harlem, right? We all were in love with her. She was our first crush. And Leon was short with a big afro. No one thought that he would be able to, you know, marry this beautiful woman that we were all in love with. But when you have substance, when you bring something to the table that is greater than yourself, it doesn't matter what you look like. It matters what you feel like. So on this Monday, I wanted to recap this summer. You know, we have some amazing guests coming starting next week, and I'm really excited for what we're continuing to do here. I wanted to thank all the contributors to our summer programming. I want to, thank all of the educators that are going back to school because you are responsible for our future. You are the biggest dreamers, right? Because your dream was to teach. And if no one else tells you how much we appreciate the teachers, the principals, those who chose to rear youth, the after school program directors, those who invest in the lives and the minds of students. Thank you. You are appreciated. It may not always be said by those around you. And I encourage, if you are an educator, if you do work with you, to encourage your coworkers, to tell them that I see you, that I appreciate you, because you both chose a dream that was necessary, that was important, and that should still be fulfilling. So I want everyone to think about on this Motivated Monday, are you living a life that is fulfilling? No matter what anyone else says, what is it going to take for you to feel fulfilled in what you're doing? Should you be living life differently? Should you be in a different occupation? Should you be following a different mission or ministry? Should you just be comfortable with who you are? Only you know. But I want you to know that no matter what it is, you are worthy and your dreams are worth it. So on this Monday, I want y'all to sit back and think, who's in my circle and why? Are these people uplifting me? Are these people pushing me to pursue my dreams? Are these people whales that I want to swim with? Or am I still dealing with the sharks that may bite me when I'm not looking, or the crabs that may pull me down because I'm not willing to let go? No matter who was in your life, you get to choose who gets to stay. No matter where you came from, you are always worthy enough for your dream. So I want y'all to say my personal manifesto with me before we let you go. Say it with me once. I love me. I'm worthy. Some people may not like me, but I don't care because the people that matter will be glad that I'm here. And really, start to look at your happiness formula. Thoughts plus feelings plus actions equal happiness. Because you can think about it, right? Because you got to think to become rich, but you have to act if you want to become wealthy, right? So think, feel, do. Because when you don't do, you turn that dream into a fantasy. and that fantasy can make you crumb depressed. You deserve to smile, to see miracles in life every day. You deserve to dream big and create something new. So this is Paz Simpson, the happiness engineer, saying you deserve another time to be you, so you don't have to be perfect. And next week we have Jacinth Headlam coming back from out of the country to talk about the Interstar Awards and why you need to be a part of that, how to get tickets, how to vote for some of the nominees, and all of the great things that come. So